Hello again, average moviegoers. Forgive my voice, I'm a little under the weather, but maybe I'm a little more soothing than usual. In this spoiler-free review of They Will Kill You, let's talk about whether this movie should be on your hit list or will bore you to death. They Will Kill You is a new horror action comedy from Kirill Sokolov, starring Zazie Beetz, Tom Felton, and Patricia Arquette. And to cut to the chase, you guys, I think this is an excellent genre film. I don't really have any gripes with it. I mainly have positive things to say, with a few quibbles that are more preference than anything. This is a short, quick-paced, digestible thrill ride that is easy to like. Now, to state the obvious, this is a genre film. It's not a prestige film. It's meant to entertain. It's meant to play into the conventions of the genre and defy it in other places and be a crowd pleaser. Judging by those merits, this movie is absolutely successful. I had a great time in a theater by myself, and I really wished I was surrounded by other people because the laughs and surprises would have been even better. This movie owes a lot to its predecessors in the genre, and it's not really subtle about what movies it's quoting and homaging, and I think that only adds to the fun. I think the most clear comparison is Ready or Not, starring Samara Weaving. There are a lot of parallels in the setup, themes, and general shape, but that kind of overlap is common for genre films, and I don't think this movie is a ripoff. Others might end up feeling that way, but I think that once this movie gets into the specifics, it's meaningfully different than the movies that it's indebted to. Some of the other influences of this movie actually surprised me. There's a lot of kung fu influence, but like Quentin Tarantino kung fu in action, as well as a lot of John Wick-style fight choreography with some David Leitch, Bullet Train, Deadpool, clumsy sense of humor, sight gags, and unseriousness. I thought it did a really good job blending these styles together. What I really loved about this movie is that it's definitely contemporary in how it looks and how it's shot and how it sounds, yet there are aspects of it that feel classic and timeless. For example, there are a lot of practical effects I really appreciate. Blood, guts, stop motion, like classic Sam Raimi looking props and production design that adds to the character and texture of this film and gives it an ageless feel. In general, I enjoyed the production design quite a bit. It's set in a Manhattan building that is styled after the early 20th century, and I think it looks gorgeous. I also enjoyed the action set pieces, each wielding a unique weapon and revolving around a different gimmick, and just really showed off Kirill's action directing ability. However, I do think that some might grow tiresome of this formula. It's like endless hordes of villains in one battle after another, and it can start to feel like there are a ton of stakes, but I just wasn't really bothered by that because that's what John Wick does, and John Wick 4 is like an hour longer than this movie. They Will Kill You slowly builds the lore in a way that I enjoyed. I liked the depiction of the occult. It was a fresh take in a film landscape that's starting to feel a little contrived and samey in that regard. Structurally, it likes to show us flashbacks, and I think that these are the weakest parts of the movie. The writing feels a little bit more hollow. It's like the filmmakers wanted to make an action movie and they just had to make it about characters going through something because that's what a movie has to be. Ultimately, I do feel like the key relationship in this movie doesn't have that much emotional weight, but I also don't really care because it delivers on the action. Let me just take a minute and say Zazie Beetz is truly an action star. Not only does she pull off the fighting, but in general, she's very agile and athletic, and there's some sequences where she has to maneuver in spaces and she just looks natural and strong and has a great screen presence. Just a couple more brief thoughts. I like the needle drops, great music and sound design in general. I do feel that not every joke or line or quirky beat lands, so it can sometimes feel corny in those moments. And finally, I also feel that mileage may vary on how people feel about the climax of this movie and whether it pulls it off or if you liked where it went. I did, but I can totally understand if it loses people. But that's it for me, you guys, and They Will Kill You. I had a lot of fun with this genre film. I think it's inventive in some areas and reliable in other areas when it needs to be. Let me know what you think if you saw it. Be respectful, be courteous, back up your opinions, but remember that art is subjective, and above all else, keep watching movies and stay average.